I'm going to value my conscience, my integrity, my honor. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to think what's right. And that's how I'm going to live my life accordingly and teach accordingly. I'm not sure I can take the heat, so I stay out of the kitchen. I'm talking about politics here. Nevertheless, I am utterly compelled, simply as a decent being, human being, to at least be a thorn in the side of all illegitimate establishmentarians. A reminder, if you will, that the good guys will eventually win. It's just the law of the universe that never fails. That's it. There's immutable laws of the universe. That's what God's will being done on earth is. That's where freedom for all humanity is going to come from, the hand of God. And all that we as humans can do is fight for that cause, to free humanity. And it's got to be financial freedom, has to be included in that. And remember, if you're okay with anybody being born with a silver spoon in the mouth, even if that's you or me, then you got to be okay with everybody. See, if that's what I believe that God would have. Okay, he wouldn't, I sure as hell wouldn't have it like this. Life continually prods us to do great things. It's how God always gets the job done. I wonder how many people understand the implications of believing Jesus did the things that he purportedly did, and he is whom he said he is. He said he's the Son of God and he raised the dead. If you, as a human being, want slack, okay, if you want slack in life, you know, hey, give me a break, right, sort of thing. As I do, I want slack. I want people to give me a break. Then simply offer slack. It's that easy. If you want to be given slack, you've got to offer slack. Due to our training, so often we utilize the pseudo definition of many given terms. For example, government, quote, consists of bureaucrats and politicians, as opposed to the true definition, which is simply we the people. When you are forced to deal in a fraud-ridden, duplicitous establishment, is it unreasonable to suggest that you must expect to be duped and defrauded? Nope, that's what you're in. What do you expect to get? Yes, fight the good fight and confront and expose evil goings on wherever and whenever they occur. But at the end of the day, we need God's help in a very real, very powerful manner to win this so-called good fight. It's going to be at the hand of God if we succeed as human beings to free humanity. It's God doing it through humans. Actually, coping, quote, in a mad world qualifies one as an educator, an advisor, an informer, an instructor on how to cope. The good guys must eventually win, otherwise it'd be a bad story, a negative book, or a movie no one wants to watch. Our money masters' role in our so-called reality, that so-called reality, quote, rife with madness, unnecessary human suffering, and endless forms of invented miseries, mass murder, and much more. Well, what is their role? It's everything. They're the grand puppeteers, willing to do anything to keep their power, their position in place in this realm. We essentially handed Trump a bloated, festering, rotten, hot potato that could blow at any moment. That's right. That's exactly what Trump said is true. That's what we gave him, economically, socially, and politically speaking. We handed Trump a pile of dung. If our precious government made all taxes voluntary, they'd realize vastly more revenue. But just like the rest of big social, political, and economic woes, fixing problems is a conflict of interest. Yes, fixing problems is the antithesis of what the establishmentarians want. They'll lose their relevance if we started fixing problems. Taxes would go down, and that includes the cost of living tax, the cost to survive, to exist tax. So yeah, it's the opposite of what they want is fixing problems. Your cost of living, quote, sounds innocent enough. How about, quote, a tax at birth perpetuated for your lifespan on your lifespan, your vocal law privilege. Your privilege to simply exist, right? That's right. A tax on your privilege to exist. That's what the cost of living is. That doesn't sound so innocent anymore, does it? How the economic sausage is actually rendered. That's what I might name this series of videos today. Warning, this may be troubling for normal, healthy human beings. Dubious warfare, including the vast and sundry murders for hire, various homicides related to money, countless suicides due to financial desperation, the vast majority of all crime, wanton abortions, prostitutions, national, state, and individual death, countless forms of escapism such as drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling, retail therapy, etc. And the solution is all forms of taxation must be eliminated, made null and void, or at a minimum entirely voluntary. Yep, that's what I mean, entirely voluntary. That's a system we need to go to of taxation. Entirely voluntary. Run it like the lottery, and hell, they'd make a lot more revenue if they did that. We must continually work toward a kinder, gentler, freer society until the absolute manifestation is achieved. Just like what I've been talking about. That's freedom for all, not for some. Includes financial freedom. Though it may sound normal enough for someone to retort, well, of course there's a cost of living. Sounds innocent enough. But what about the synonym, quote, well, of course there's a tax on your privilege of survival. Your privilege of survival. So that's not up to God, right, that you have a right to survive? No, it's some man's doing that, deciding that. On your choice to continue to exist on planet Earth, right? A human being is going to tell you whether or not you have the right to continue to exist on planet Earth through your cost of living tax. And that doesn't sound so innocent anymore, this cost of living, does it? To overcome a thing, whatever that thing may be, we first must acknowledge it is an unwanted thing. Otherwise, there's no thing to overcome, no thing to be forgiven for. Right. We've got to admit our own failings, our own sin in our own hearts and in our minds and our thoughts. And then it comes out in our words and our actions, our deeds. If another's investments increase my cost of living, as they typically do, how could I and why could I be on board and support said investments? You can't. That'd be like, I'm going to cut my own throat. I'm going to shoot myself in my own foot just so that you can benefit. See, it doesn't work that way. If it's good for you, it's got to work for everybody, or it's not working. Inevitably, others are harmed by those whom don't realize their role and their value in this cosmic theater, like I alluded to earlier. You've got to have the highest self-esteem. Remember, just being God's friend is the highest calling any of us can have. He's after our souls, friendship. That's it. That's how easy it is to understand that you should have the highest self-esteem. And you hurt other people if you don't. If you're small-minded, narrow-minded, you just go along with this established pseudo-system, this beast system, like a brute beast that they want you to be, you're not helping anybody. You're hurting other people. It's dragging them down. If you drag your own worth down, you allow your worth to be dragged down, it inevitably drags down the worth of other people. We've got to work together here and understand we're of great worth more than many sparrows, as Jesus said it. Okay, he's numbered the hairs on our head. We're beloved. We are the priceless treasure he's after. When people get comfortable by adopting to a decidedly wicked world, will by default uncomfortable, unable to accept an ideal world. So by default, you see, if you get comfortable in this world, the problem is that you won't recognize the perfect world, the ideal world that God's calling us to. Use our God-given imagination to understand and realize, think about it. Consider the world we could have. Not perfect for just you and your peers and associates, but for everybody. Not your special interest group, for everybody. You want to be able to recognize it. Know what you're looking for. Know what absolute freedom for everybody looks like. Since God has an impeccable, amazing reputation and the wherewithal to uphold that reputation, he is entirely trustworthy. And I go into more about how the economic sausage is really rendered here. Murders for hire, dubious warfare, and all the implications. Most crime, it's all money. National, state, individual debt, money. Social welfare industry, money. Taxes, including the tax on our very existence, money. Abortion, money. Prostitution, money. Drugs, money, drugs that's legal and illegal, sundry vices and all that. Okay, so that's the economic sausage of society. That's how it's being made. Tell me of a period in history when humanity wasn't born beholden to the money masters. You can't, because there has never been a period allowed when people were free. Just as God must forgive us, we must forgive God for our tarnished reality that he allowed us to tarnish. Yes, he did allow that.